In this video, I'm going to talk about 9 tips for improving your gameplay in PvP in Tactical Assault VR. So hopefully you guys find this helpful, and let's get right into it. So the first tip on our list is don't overexpose. So the key component here is to keep yourself concealed. If you're holding a position, why should you tell the enemy exactly where you are? Right? So the two main ways that people overexpose in Tactical Assault VR is either sticking their barrel outside of windows or wide peeking corners. So, if you can hold the same angle from deeper inside the building, there's no reason to get right in front of the window when you can hold the same angle deeper in. Doing this basically shows people outside exactly where you're aiming and where you are. So if you have a perfect shot farther inside of the building, take that one. This also goes for peeking corners. You don't want to show your entire body when you're coming around a corner. Just try to get your head using the leaning mechanic that we already have in the game. Tip number 2 is repositioning after you get a kill. Now this applies anytime that you get a kill or a couple of kills. If you aren't suppressed or you have a suspicion that the person that you killed saw where you killed them from, you should definitely move. Now this is probably most effective when you're sniping. If they haven't found you yet, or if they found you, you should move to a different position because then they'll know where you are and they'll try to flank you. What this does is, number one, it conceals where you killed the person from, so they probably won't find where you are. They're going to push the same thing, you can kill them again. And number 2, it confuses the enemies because if they find you, they're going to push that same angle and you can kill them when they're trying to push to that angle. This only basically applies when you're trying to be stealthy, and it really doesn't apply when you're already in a building that they know where you are and you're just trying to hold a point. If they already know where you are, you can use this kind of a smaller version of this. If you are inside of a building and you're holding a doorway, like holding a staircase, and you kill someone there, they might know that you're up there, which is fine, but maybe you move behind the staircase or behind a wall that you still have the same angle, but they're going to be looking at a different angle when they come up there to kill you again. Tip number 3 might be the biggest mistake that new players make when they start playing Tactical Assault VR, and that is abusing and overusing your flashlight and laser. Basically what this does is it shows exactly where your weapon is pointed, and it telegraphs your location to people that are watching that laser. In my personal experience playing PvP, I basically never use my laser unless I'm right next to someone. Flashlight's a little different because if it's nighttime, it's pretty hard to see people, but with lasers, there's really no point to do it on PvP. And I'll show an example here. So let's say I come around this corner like this, right? The enemies are going to have a much harder time knowing when I'm going to come around the corner. They may know I'm there, but they're going to have a harder time knowing when I'm going to swing the corner. But if I do it like this with my laser and flashlight on, then they're going to know exactly when I'm going to swing and where I'm aiming. So this gives me more of a chance to get my gun ready and shoot him versus if he just comes around the corner when I'm not expecting him. Tip number 4 is also a big one for new players, and this is perspective. When you're playing PvP, you need to take into consideration how the enemy sees you. You might actually not notice that you aren't fully behind a wall or are completely hidden by a windowsill. So one way you can fix this is being more drastic and more considerate when making your decisions or movements. So if you're behind like a balcony, you want to go like way farther down than you think you should. And I'll show an example here like the last one. So let's say I'm on defense, right? And I go on the top of 4th story on Sever Snake, and I think I'm completely hidden by the ledge, and there's someone in 3rd story, like you can see here. Little do I know that offense can see the entire top half of my head, and they can just dome me, and I think I'm completely covered. So before you start complaining about where was that guy or how did he see me, think about this. Maybe you were sticking your head out too far. So tip number 5 is stop closing your non-shooting eye. So this is whatever eye you're not dominant with. For me, I am right eye dominant, so I aim with my right eye. So I would keep my left eye open. The weapon manipulation in this game is similar to how guns act in real life. So the same rules basically apply for Tactical Assault VR because it is VR. So when you're using optics, you should always keep your non-dominant eye open. What this does is it'll merge your vision, making it so you can see basically straight through the chassis of the sight. What this will allow you to do is see much more of your surroundings when you're playing, which increases your awareness. This is also much more comfortable in VR to keep both eyes open. You might not notice if you're getting headaches from it. It might be because you're closing your left eye. If there's a person decently far away from me and I have my left eye closed and they're like where the chassis would be, I might not even see them because of the chassis there. But if I had both eyes open, I would just be able to see right through it. So tip number 6 is minimizing your sound output. You may not realize how much noise you actually make while you're moving around in game. If you're trying to be sneaky and you're doing these things, you're not being sneaky at all. So you got to fix that. So number 1 is to stop talking. Enemies can hear you from very far away when you talk, making it very paramount to not talk when you're trying to be quiet. I have a little trick to mitigate this. If you talk over comms, the enemy team cannot hear you. So if you really need to say something, you can just put it on comms and get that message out. And part number 2 is to stop sprinting everywhere. You make a lot of footstep noises when you sprint, and if you walk, crouch, or do something that I'm about to tell you, you'll make barely any noise. So there's a little tech, and this is pretty well known in the community, but not a lot of people actually notice it. If you walk at a certain angle, it's like forward and a little bit diagonal, you actually make no footstep noises and you can fully sprint. I had Raptor here do like a comparison between the sounds, so I'll let this play. So tip number 7 is listening to sounds. The opposing team is going to be none the wiser about concealing their noise unless they've watched this video, and you can use this to your advantage. Hearing footsteps, if you hear them coming up staircase, you can hold the staircase and catch them off guard by either pre-firing or swinging them. Listening to voices will also do the same. You can use this to get closer to people because your footsteps will almost be impossible to hear with other people talking, so use this to your advantage. So I've talked about this next tip in a earlier video. So tip number 8 is keeping your gun on semi-auto for medium to long range shots. Now the reason you do this is to, number 1, conserve ammo, and number 2, to get more shots on target. If you just dump rounds at a target, you're probably more likely to miss a bunch before you actually hit your shot, and you also won't be able to control your recoil that well at that distance. So what you need to do is stay on semi-automatic. This will help you keep your eyes on target while having a little bit of recoil to compensate for. You can track your shots way easier, and you also save more ammo because you're not dumping all your rounds in your magazine. If you pick a gun that is strictly full auto, then firing in short bursts also helps. For example, if you're using like the 240 Bravo, you just shoot a couple 6-round bursts and you're fine. Tip number 9 is to use your environment wisely. Most of the maps in this game can be abused by players, and especially if there's dark areas on that map. So if there's a dark area you can sit in or a high vantage point you can camp on, you should use it. This game is not kind to people that try to play the arcadey style. You want to be a scumbag and hold crazy angles to catch your enemies off guard. And you might be surprised how many people will actually walk by you if you're standing in a dark area. But on the contrary to this, you should always be wary of how you present yourself. So let's say you stand on top of a building, you're basically silhouetting yourself against the sky to the entire team. You're just giving away your position. And this also goes for, let's say, like nighttime maps on Deadshot. Some of the buildings have lights inside of them, and that also can silhouette you from inside the building. So thank you guys for watching all the way to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully these tips will help you out a little bit when you're playing PvP. And again, play PvP if you haven't, bro. It's so much better with Deadshot now. It's way funner. But I'll close it off here. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.